Welcome everybody to another episode of the Creative Cosplay Corner. Today I've got a new background because we are going to take you on a journey. I want you guys to come down and see what it is that our today's guest has for us in store. Check out their cosplays. Now that we know who our guest is, let's actually find the cosplayer behind those costumes. I'm Cable Rose. I'm your host and uber fan of all things cosplay. And today we have Hanari 502. Hanari, please come on the show, introduce yourself, and just kind of tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Hanari 502. My full name is Hanari Solomon, but you can find me pretty much everywhere by typing in Hanari 502. And I've been cosplaying since 2007. I've been cosplaying for like 13 years.
Okay, well then do me a favor, Hanari. How'd you get into it? What was it that you stumbled upon, or what was it that you did that said, let's go do this?
Well, there were two milestones. 2007 was my first convention. It was MegaCon 2007. Was brand new to Florida at the time. I came down and I made some friends and they're like, hey, are you going to MegaCon? I'm like, what the heck is MegaCon? And I found out that like it was this massive convention and everything. So I went to a seamstress at the mall and I asked her to make me Tamari's second outfit from Naruto. I was like a teenager. I was like in like the beginning of high school, if that. And she made it for me and I went and I like entered the costume contest and like as like a teenager and everything, and I didn't win anything. I barely remember it. And that was my introduction. But as far as cosplay goes, what really got me into cosplay, and a lot of people are going to cringe for this, but it was Homestuck. Homestuck was a massive web comic that got very popular between the years 2008 to 2013.
Okay.
And it was my first experience with the cosplay community. I had dressed myself up as Sis Strider. It was a gender-bent version of one of the characters. And I went to a meetup and I met tons of different people that were there. And we did like photo shoots and we talked. And some of my best friends to this day that I'm still in contact with, I met at that photo shoot during Homestuck. And like, I've kept these people with me my entire life. I go visit them at work. Some of them have moved out to New York and everything, but we're still very much in contact with each other. And that was my first real experience with what the community was. And then fast forward to 2013, when I discovered competitions and like the actual background of competitions. And I worked together with someone that I knew at the time. Unfortunately, we haven't spoken for a couple of years. I don't know what happened to him. I hope he's doing well. But we collaborated together to make Jinx's full loadout from League of Legends. And I entered the MegaCon contest and I got runner-up for that. And that's how I started getting into like craftsmanship and competition. So I've been competing for about 7 years, but I've been in the convention circuit since the very first convention.
So it was it. You got in, you got hooked, and then you were like, oh, let's go take this one step further. And so just before we started the interview today, you and I were chatting and I was looking at your background. You were looking at some of your organization and you've got the history of, this was Ahsoka and you have some of those previous builds, and then you have all of your crafts, all of your materials, everything that goes on there.
Well, these are just what I'm working on right now. All my finished outfits are either hung up or they're in my room. And
oh my goodness.
All of this is works in progress. So Ahsoka takes up 2 because I'm not done with her yet. And then in the middle is my Tobi Kadachi stuff because I still need to make the pants and the weapons and the underclothes and everything because I want to compete with that eventually.
Okay.
But yeah, so this is all everything that's just a work in progress.
That's just
right
the work
now.
in. My bad. I thought that was what was previous. That's just work in. So I love whips and I love to see the process because everybody has a creative, it's an art form, a creative way and a creative process they get to. I believe behind you, you've got Bumblebee and this is one of another iterations, right?
Yes, this is my newer version of Bumblebee because my old jacket was made on a machine that was falling apart. So this is just the back piece. But that's all a specialty order pleather. The Autobot symbol is hand sewn on.
Yes.
Like This is a very precise item that I'm working on right now. Color blocking is one of my favorite things to do because I'm very good at color blocking. A lot of my stuff that I've done in the past, Rodimus, Bumblebee, a couple of my other costumes, even the Toby Kadachi, it's all color blocking.
I think it's fantastic. And to see the work in progress. And then, like you said, this was another iteration. So you built it, you enjoyed it, and you said, you know what, I want to maybe do this, or I want to add this to it, or you want to tweak it up a little bit. And now it's your fourth time doing Bumblebee. I think that's awesome. And I love...
I found someone online that works with 3D modeling. So he is actually pulling Bumblebee's 3D model from Transformers Prime and dimming it down to my size. That way I can make the actual model. I'm not going to be making the whole thing. I'm going to be making like the arms and the legs. I already have the helmet, but it is going to be a much more substantial build when I get finished with it.
So, and I appreciate that because one, it was a kind of a random imagery back there. I love that it's out, but let me talk about this. How do you determine in your world, you're sitting there and go, I want to do this. How do you come up with the next idea? What is that creative process like for you?
I find something I would die for and then I become it. I look at that and I'm like, I think Present Mike is hot and I would die for this man. I'm going to make him in 3 days and then he's done. Most of my costuming sometimes is done in a frenzy where I decide I want to make something. And then just a day, like with Jack Spicer, I made Jack Spicer in 48 hours. I made Black Canary in 6 hours. Like sometimes you just get on that.
You're in the zone, right?
Yeah, like you get into it, you're just like, I want to make this thing right now and nothing in the world can stop me. And it's like, it is a frenzy. And sometimes I don't even stop to document it because I'm just moving so quickly. But when it comes to larger projects like Toby Kadachi, like Ahsoka, like Bumblebee, like for Ahsoka, I had to wait a very long time for my lightsabers to come in, for my belt apparatus mid-piece to come in, for my bodysuits to come in, for my cowl. My cowl was the first thing I got. So when it comes to cosplays where you have to piece things together from outside sources, it does peter out and take a little bit longer. Sometimes that motivation can die, but that's why you always have like 2 or 3 projects running at the same time. Like between all of my costumes, I've been making masks for the pandemic outbreak for medical workers and protesters. And that's just something that I can do now. Like I've got it down to a science. I can make like 70 a week if I really put my mind to it. But you always have to have something that you're working on, even if it's small. That way that motivation doesn't peter out. And then when you do finally finish something that took you a very long time, like Ahsoka, that sense of satisfaction is even greater because the wait was worth it.
So I like this. You are literally walking me through this interview. I love it. The setup is perfect. No. The setup is perfect because you're going to one, I think you're a very organized person. I think you've got your shit together and you know where you're going and you know what's going on. But at the same time,
very hard.
You try very hard. At the same time, you find yourself wanting to progress in multiple things. So you've got a couple different projects going on. And then you said it, when you get done and you've got your source pieces or you finish the new parts for your Bumblebee, when you get done. So now after all that time, it might be 6 hours for Canary or it might be, 6 months for one of these. What's it like to put that on when the final product is there and walk into anything, a shoot, a mall, Barnes and Nobles? I don't know if you do Barnes and Nobles or the MegaCon. What's it like to walk in that final product?
It's different. It's different per costume and it's different per feeling. Like before I came on with you, I did a very small fashion shoot for one of my favorite bands because my sponsors have finally sent me in the new makeup palette that I've been waiting on for a couple weeks now. So doing that and getting the pictures out and looking at that, it made me very proud, even though that wasn't a costume. That was literally just makeup and a t-shirt and I went from there. But having stuff on like this, it's different depending on what you do, because I do photo shoots that are like solo shoots and everything. Like Envy was a solo shoot. Jack Spicer was a solo shoot. My Shego was a solo shoot. And it's a lot of effort to get those things on. So doing solo shoots and then going through, because I take and edit all of my own photos. I have my own camera and tripod and my own timer set up. I have my own editing process. Like I typically go through about 150 photos a month, if not more. And sometimes I only save like 12 of those. And that's not because the photography is bad. That's just because that's what happens sometimes.
Sure. You want
But
that
when it
one
goes
shot,
to,
right?
yeah, but when it comes to conventions, dressing up and going and entering areas where you know not only have you put in your best effort with what you've done, but other people who are just as passionate and caring as you about the same thing have also put their all into everything that they're wearing. And regardless of skill level, regardless of how it looks, every single person on the floor of a convention is there because they love it and they have the passion for it and they want to become a part of this community in this world together. And having that connection with those people is one of the most important things that I could ever grasp for conventions. Being able to go to these places and meet people, not just based on things that you have in common, but knowing that you're there because you are all just giant nerds of these things, and knowing that there are people that you can go to for that, it's an incredible feeling. And then going and doing photo shoots with those people together, making those memories that you know are going to last you the rest of your life because of the skills that you crafted, is probably one of the greatest feelings in the world.
Man, I don't know. I don't know if I have any follow-up questions to that. That was a beautiful journey from the process of the connection of the people. And then I'm all about memories. My father and I, time is really everything. And a picture or a moment in time is that it's timeless and it's going to be forever. And so in the digital world, you said you might take a bunch of pictures, but those 12 ones that you decided were the ones you wanted to share with the world, now we get to see that and see that forever. So I think the beautiful way of putting that craft, passion together. And I'm all about this community. The cosplay world and the cosplay community has been a very positive thing for me to come and meet all of our guests and connect all of our guests. It's been fantastic.
It's great, but it is like it's so easy. I experienced massive burnout yesterday. I didn't want to do anything because I've been doing a billion things, but there, when like learning costuming and becoming like a crafter and learning how to make the stuff, like there's lots of different ways that you can cosplay. There's people that like make their own stuff by hand. There's people that buy all their parts and like piece their stuff together. There's people that buy full costumes. It's all valid in cosplay. It is all cosplay. There's people that put on like Colossal Con, people put on swimsuits or make swimsuits with wigs on, and that's still cosplay. Like there's a million different ways to do it. But when you are someone who focuses solely on crafting and craftsmanship and improving your skill, the things that you learn and the knowledge that you gain over a period of time, once you learn that knowledge, sometimes it feels like you've hit like a plateau and you can't really go any higher because your physical skill level is not quite up to speed with your mental skill level. So until you have that final product, sometimes you just feel like, oh, this is really boring or this is mundane, but it's not boring or mundane. It's just that you know more now. And because you have more knowledge, you're paying attention to more things. So it seems arduous and daunting when in reality, you're skillfully doing better than you've ever done. And it's something that a lot of artists face no matter what the medium is.
Okay. So that whole idea right there from your level of, and so as we learn, my daughter's 11, so the first time she does something, she maybe envisions that it's going to be at a certain level of
it needs to be perfect, but we don't realize that, like, again, our physical abilities and our physical skill level and our mental knowledge are years apart.
Yep.
So it feels like we're not doing good enough to our standards because what we are consuming, we understand more than what we are creating.
Well, Hanari, this has been a powerful conversation. One, your idea of what cosplay is, I think, is a huge statement for the community of just that open-minded, whether you buy...
It's a physical representation of your love for whatever media it is. I think that cosplay is the ultimate form of, I love this so much, I wanted to become it. Yes. And to be able to do that is like the largest like bucket of appreciation to the people that originally made that media and saying, this has impacted me so much, I wanted to make it real. So I think being able to do that is just a wonderful feeling, really.
Well, I don't know, and I know you've got quite a bit of an audience out there, but I don't know if the whole planet, quite a bit. I don't know if the whole planet knows who you are. So my goal is to do exactly that. I just want to share you, share your ideology, share your mentality, share your passion for any medium, because you said you did some music, you did some photos, you did some cosplay, you do some crafting. You've got a little bit of everything going on.
I do a lot.
You do a lot.
I do like podcasting and running around and with the current socio-political climate, like I do a lot of stuff.
And I understand now as well, because you and I have been back and forth trying to figure out a good time to do this. And I realized, you know, in watching your history of you were very busy, and you're out there making an impact, not only in those moments or those times, but then absolutely in the actual, like you said, the climate of everything that's going on today. And so I think you are a huge Tour de France. You're a huge force to be reckoned with in the world of just what we
God,
do.
I hope so.
No?
People think that I'm a lot bigger than I am, but my following is not as large as most other people's, and I just do what I like, and then other people also decide that they like it, and then I'm cool with that.
Yes, and that's why I think your humbleness in regards to that kind of idea is you're not here for the likes, and you're not here for the follows. If somebody likes it, appreciates it, y'all connect, and I think that's a really
don't get me wrong. Like, I'm a massive attention whore. I love that, but I do this mostly so that one day I can be able to showcase my skills to a company or a business and be able to make this my career. Like, I love doing cosplay. Yeah, this is like my portfolio for what I want to do for the rest of my life. So that's kind of what I see it as. And yeah, like, I'm super passionate about stuff, and I'll make cosplays in a day, and I still hot glue stuff together. Everyone hot glues stuff together. You just have to do it sometimes. But I want to be able to, in the future, look back and say all of the things I did put me here so that I can, like, be credited in a movie or a show or anything. But I'm still fairly young, and I still have a long way ahead of me. And I still have a lot to learn. So eventually I'll get to that point. But right now, I mostly just I like having the recognition for my work, where people see it and they recognize the amount of effort that I put into it.
Yep.
And like, the praise for that is pretty cool. I like it, but I would also like to be able to make a career off of it at some point, which I'm kind of sort of doing.
Well, and I love, my parents grew up in a 9-to-5. You had to punch the clock and you had to sit behind a desk. I grew up kind of at the tail end of that, kind of open-ended at the other end of that, to where shit, anything's possible. I mean, you create an app, you go into business for yourself, you do whatever, those are the kind of things. And like you just said, hey, 13 years ago, I stumbled upon it, and now you're literally building towards your branding, your recognition of your efforts, what you've done.
Literally, the first time I put on a costume, I looked at myself and I was like, I want to do this for the rest of my life.
I love it. I love it. I mean,
I'm going to be 80 years old, cosplaying old Sophie.
I got chill bumps just from you saying that, just from saying I want to do this for the rest of my life. That is fantastic. And so, and I've told you earlier, thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing Hanari with us. But this is not about me, and I talk too much. But this is your audience that they're coming to see. They're going to come see you. Is there anything, and you said quite a bit that has made an impact on me today. Is there anything you want to just say to your cosplay community that is every day?
If you have ever felt intimidated by cosplay for any reason, based on the pictures that you see online, based on the things that people say, based on what you see on the convention floor, if you have ever been afraid to do this, do it anyway. If you look at conventions and costuming and you see it as somewhere that you want to be and somewhere that you want to belong, you do belong here. Everyone who cares about costuming, everyone who cares about nerd media, everyone that comes to these conventions belongs here, because we are the children and the precedent of people telling us our whole lives that we were weird for having passion. And now that these things have become very mainstream, there's no longer that stigma, but there's still that mindset of, what if this is not enough? What if I am not enough? And that is something that I am sick of seeing people say. I want people to be able to come into this community and feel like they can do what they want and have fun with it, and be good to others, and have people be good to them, and feel safe and protected in a community that cares about all of the things that they care about. And if you have ever felt any reservations for cosplay or conventioning because of something holding you back, because of fear or intimidation, do it anyway, because you're never going to be able to find that sense of community until you jump into it yourself. No one is going to, they can, but no one is going to drag you into the opportunity to make yourself happy for something that you want. And you need to be able to look at something and say, I want this because it will make me happy. And if cosplay is that thing, go for it, no matter what. And it doesn't matter your skill level, if you want to make it, if you want to buy it, if you want to get together and have other people like lend you things for it. If you want to do it, do it. That is the most important thing, because you never know what you're going to do or where you're going to go until you take the first step.
Hanari, I want to tell you that you are a force. The way you want this community to be and the way that you show that, I feel fortunate enough just to have met you. I followed you for a few years now. This is our first real true interaction. I feel fortunate enough to have met you today and just had this opportunity to hear it right from you and just see what it is that you bring to this community. I know and I'm going to get cheesy, and I'm so sorry, but you make me want to be a better person in regards to what I do. No. I think that's, I don't want to try to be over the top, but just hearing you and just seeing what it is that you bring makes me just really enjoy what I get to do. And so I'm glad that we got to share this today. I'm glad we got to put this out there for the world to see. And I truly appreciate you being here today.
I'm glad too. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it a lot. I know that my schedule is kind of hectic, but I'm glad that we got to sit down and talk.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to make sure we get everybody that we can to maybe see this, connect to this, and put you out there just so that we can share the togetherness of the community.
If you're hiring, please hire me. If you need a seamstress or a craft person, please hire me. I will take apprenticeships.
I love it. No, seriously, it's a great tag in there, because think about it.
Here's my portfolio.
There it is.
Hire me.
We've got your portfolio right here. We're going to connect you at the bottom. There's going to be a link in the credits. Absolutely, they can get in there and come see what it is you do, and exactly that. We'll get you seen, and then hey, I'm going to be saying, hey, remember when Hanari was on the show, and now she's on the set of X, Y, and Z, and you're going to be the one putting on the help for what that final imagery is as it comes across the screen or comes across the stage. I think that's pretty kick-ass.
I try. I just like I said, I want to do this for the rest of my life. It's something that I have this tendency to, after a while, to sort of like give up on things because it gets like too difficult, or just like I peter out of it. But cosplay is the first thing I found that I have never lost a drive for. And I just want to keep going at it with everything I have.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
It's wonderful.
And
I'm really glad.
You could be 15. I was 35 before I realized what I was good at or what I wanted to do. So there is no, you have to be at a certain age to do something.
Oh, no, there's no age limit to finding out, like, there's no age limit to self-discovery. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people think is like, well, you're 20, you're too old for fandom. Like,
what?
Huh? You know how old Star Trek is? Come on.
We had a guest on a few weeks ago, Paul Childs. Paul was with us, and he's from the East Coast. He's 57 now, and it was like 5 years ago or maybe 8 years ago. He was at a parade, and he saw the 501st, stormtroopers walk by, and that was it. He's now into it. He's
I gotta get myself approved by them in the Rebel Legion.
I know they're very particular, but there's a reason, because when y'all walk in, we're blown away. Absolutely.
I have been doing my Ahsoka down to every single specification. I want to get her approved so badly.
Well, listen, Hanari, again, thank you for being here. You keep on pressing with what it is you're doing. The entire cosplay community, probably, if they haven't, that they will appreciate what it is you've got here to say with us today. And so we appreciate you being here.
All right, thank you so much. I'm glad I could pop on. I'm glad to show you a little bit of what my world consists of, quite literally.
It is a kick-ass world that you have, and what a great idea to say, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. That's perfect.
I'm going to try.
And you're going to do it, right? Do or do not. There is no try. We're both, we're Jedis here. So listen.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Cable Rose. This was the Creative Cosplay. I did it again. Creative Cosplay Corner. We had Hanari.
I do cosplay.
You do the gender benders, right? We do all kinds of stuff in this world. So everybody for being here, we appreciate you, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Bye.